When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With Twin Spires, you can place your bets with confidence. Whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power, and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires. And now you can share the thrill with friends using our exclusive Bet Share feature.
Hello, everybody. Kevin Kilroy with you here, joined by Tonly Calo and Twin Spires bringing us to you. We're going to talk about Saturday's big card at Churchill Downs. Specifically, we're going to look at the Stephen Foster, the Wise Dan, the Florida Lee, those three graded stakes on the card. But Tony, I got to say, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, Kevin. How are you? Getting settled in with the move?
No, look at this.
No.
There's so much going on. We just movers just came on Tuesday. Boxes are everywhere, but there's horses, races to be handicapped, so there's no time for messing around with unpacking. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Big card on Saturday, Tony. We've got 6 stakes. This makes up that Derby City 6. There's that huge. I think it's 289,000 currently in that carryover, something right around there. Wise Dan got the Florida Lee, American Derby, Kelly's Landing, Stephen Foster, and the Tepin. And that's right. We're going to be looking at the American Derby with your pick, not the Wise Dan in there. So we also have Sunday. We've got 5, and this is closing weekend. Tony, this is our first meet with Churchill Downs. It's about to be concluded, but we've got 5 stakes here at the end. What do you think about these? Have you looked ahead that far?
I really have. I'm looking forward to that. The Maxfield world record looks sensational when graduating. Raging Torrent, he was the horse who won the race immediately after the Kentucky Derby for Doug O'Neill, went 121 and change. What a monstrous effort he put in. That's going to be a great race. And then the Hanshin, oh my goodness, that is so good. Extra Anejo, Bango, some pretty nice horses if I'm remembering that race correctly. Charge It, I think Charge It might be in that one as well. What a great day! What a great 2 days of racing we have here at Churchill.
Looks like Cagliostro's in there. I was wondering where
Cagliostro. He could be. Yep. He could be so live. I mean, it's salty. It is salty, Kev.
Stakes galore for the final weekend for our swan song before we move on to Ellis Park for you. Colonial Downs is where my attentions will be. But let's check out this Stephen Foster. We got 9 who enter for this bad boy. And First Mission's going to take the lion's share of the money. 6-5, probably be less than that when it comes down to it. Happy American Cross entered in that Hanshin on Sunday. So we'll see where he ends up. But Skippy Longstocking is right there at 5-2. Definitely, those two seem to be the most dangerous in here. Pyrenees, that upstart for Cherie DeVoe, really moving forward in a good way. Disarm, we'll talk a ton about him. Steve Asmussen's gun runner who has that one prep before this. Classic Causeway, wild card I want to look at closely. Kings Barnes, been running well, maybe ready to step forward. Steel Sunshine, another dangerous one in here. So let's start with your top pick in here. Who'd you go with, Tony?
Well, I'm going to land on Disarm, trying to get us some value at 6-1. I was really fond of Disarm during his 3-year-old campaign. I thought his Louisiana Derby race was pretty good. Kings Barnes was able to flex his muscle through the early stages, and Disarm was able to make up ground through the final quarter of a mile. The flow was very favorable for Kings Barnes and all the forward horses. They went 49 and change, 114 and 3. And I thought Disarm had a big stride, a good gallop out. I was so excited for him to get to the Kentucky Derby. In fact, I wanted him to go into the Derby off that race. But Steve Asmussen, I think they needed points if I remember correctly. So he had to opt for the Lexington, and that's when First Mission really came on the scene. And what I'm getting to is I was fond of Disarm heading into that Lexington, and I'm hoping with the time off, the prep race, that he can live up to the hype that I had for him. I thought his Travers was pretty good. And, this particular day that we're watching right now, I wouldn't read too much into it. He absolutely crawled, Kevin. You saw the race. I thought his nose was going to touch the dirt the entire trip. That's how low his head was, and he never was really allowed to run, and he just did what he had to do. He's better with the target to chase, and I'm hoping we can get the real Disarm that I've always thought he was. Second to Arcangelo in that good Travers, and
Yeah.
let's
Well,
see
I know
let's
it's
see how
funny.
he steps up.
We were talking about that race, when it happened, like how much did he get out of it, right? You can see it wasn't much of an ask. He went to the lead sort of just because Keith didn't know what to do with him, right? Because there's only
Yeah.
four horses signed on, and then nobody was a front runner. So do you think when we were asking like how much did he get out of it? What was our question? What was our worry that maybe he just didn't build enough foundation, didn't get enough fitness from it, or what do you think? What would be your questions about that? Because I know we were worried about that race.
Well, I mean, that's something that it's a little bit beyond my realm. I'm not a trainer. I would say that looks like they put in some nice works to him. So obviously, maybe Steve wanted to get a little more out of it. He went around and he did what he was supposed to do that particular day. We'll see. Steve knows how to train a racehorse. That's for sure. I don't think if Steve felt he wasn't quite ready or didn't get enough out of it that he would risk him in this spot.
Yeah, it's been the target all along. Watching him in the mornings at fairgrounds, he's been like clockwork coming around the track. You know he's fit. What price do you think on Disarm? That's my question. I think he might be closer to 7-2 when it comes down to
Really,
maybe
you
4 to
think
1.
he'll get that much action, huh?
I do. Because where do you go after the top two there? With First Mission, Skippy Longstocking.
Yeah, I guess that's a valid point right there. Yeah, I'm just hoping that first mission will take so much money. Skippy Longstocking will be solidify the second spot. Hoping 9-2, 5-1. Maybe I'm delusions of grandeur here with thinking for that price.
No, I think that'd be a fair price for sure. All right, my top pick, First Mission, nothing creative here. We'll get to our creative thoughts when we come to it next. Coming for Brad Cox, um, he just hasn't been able to do any wrong except for that run at Gulfstream Park. That was my big
Yeah.
question mark before the last race, but he looked just dominant when he won with us here at Churchill Downs in his last effort. A little bit of a wet track there on May 3rd on Oaks Day. You can see the pink reminding you of those good old times in the Ali Sheba. He just comes on with a big effort here to pull away by 4 lengths in the end. I feel like the question for First Mission is what type of trip will he work out? There's a lot of horses in here that do want that same stalking trip, that loose, maybe even a tracking trip, but up close forward trip. He might get pushed to the front. We'll see what Florent Giroux does with him. His thoroughgraph figures, speed figures, everything shows us that he is the fastest in here. Has he held form? The workouts look very strong. It's really hard to knock him. The price is the major question, and also the opportunity, right? When you have a horse like this, the lion's share of the money is going to be on getting on the other side of that coin could be a really nice opportunity. But First Mission's one that I think will be able to take care of this field, move on as he heads towards, I imagine, bigger and better things in terms of Breeders' Cup races down the road. What do you think about him? Obviously, a pretty clear story you can tell yourself about First Mission.
Yeah, no, he's pretty legit. Obviously, I wasn't that familiar with him until the Lexington last year. I thought for sure he was going to win the Preakness. I believe he was scratched. What was it, the day before, the morning of the 2023 Preakness? I've been waiting for him to stamp himself as the best older horse in America. Right now, I think with a victory in the Stephen Foster, he can make that claim. I mean, he's by far the horse to beat. We all know that. I just have a little bit of a loyalty to Disarm. I thought Disarm was right there with them last year, and I'm hoping that we're going to get a great horse race. Skippy Longstocking, I think, is a very,
Yeah.
very formidable foe. He's really come into his own, kind of like First Mission. If you toss out the Pegasus World Cup, his form's pretty good. I find Pyrenees a little interesting. He hasn't done anything wrong in 2024. I was very impressed with his most recent race where he showed some versatility, rating behind horses and coming with a big run and a strong gallop out. I'm excited about the Stephen Foster.
Yeah, Pyrenees does seem like a interesting one in here. Now, the past 2 races has been able to get perfect trips, perfect setups, slow pace, but he's looked very good doing it. Just because it's set up for him doesn't mean that he can't tackle more and accomplish more. He's definitely moving forward in a big way. A 4-year-old that deserves our eye in terms of he's got more to show us. And if he does, he could fit against these. Brian could work out a great trip on the rail there and could have him coming. I'd liked him going longer last time. I think longer is best for him. Really seeing him come on towards the end to run down Kings Barnes. I think longer is going to be his strength. But Pyrenees, I think, is very dangerous in here. And then a Classic Causeway.
All right, talk about this long shot.
30-1. Well, the big question with the Stephen Fosters, who do you think is going to take the lead? Who's going to get to the front? Who's the front runner in here? Who do we got?
Well, maybe Pyrenees goes back to the tactics before his most recent race in the Pimlico Special, utilizing an inside draw. Maybe Classic Causeway reverts back to being that early pacemaker. Those 1.5 back-to-back races probably dulled a lot of his speed, and he probably found it once again with that recent 1.16 affair.
Yeah, and facing 5-star General Capuna last out in that allowance. If we look at the beginning of that race, we can see he's breaking from the 6 here. No, he's breaking from the 5. He's the 5 right there with the green top. You can see him get pinched out of his spot there as the 6 comes over on him, right? So he wasn't able to get to the front. He gets a little bit rank here to move forward, kind of keen to get into the race, and he never really is able to. And it was a forward track that day on May 27th. At least this race unfolded that way. So Classic Causeway, if you look at the drills, you're just not going to find anything sharper coming into this. Steady works of the last 2. You could see he was kind of preparing for something there. He was sharp before that last race there and wasn't able to show it on the racetrack. But like you're saying, maybe that cutting back on that last one, he's got that one under his belt. Leperoux up. I think he's a full send from that spot. Pyrenees, I think, is the other one who could get it done. Kings Barnes, we've seen at the front. I don't think he's a front running horse. I don't think they'll let him go to the lead. So Skippy Longstocking, dangerous in here. Great race. You might be able to get some real value if you can get away from the obvious 2. Disarm might be the one to get that for you in the Stephen Foster. And let's take a look here. I know you've got a spot play in terms of these 6 stakes in here. Talk to us about World War I.
First World War.
That's what it is.
I wasn't born with I wasn't around in World War I, Kev. I know I'm the elder statesman here, but come on now, pal. I thought I was looking pretty good for my age. Jeez.
You are, man. You are.
This horse he's a pretty cool horse. He 7 starts, 3 wins in 2 seconds. He didn't run too well at Keeneland. Over a good turf course. Perhaps he likes it more firm. I don't know what was up with him that particular day in his a little bit of a comeback. He was off for a couple of months. And the race once upon a time back at Keeneland, in fact, both of his poor efforts are over the Keeneland turf course. So perhaps that's the little chink in his armor. But in the Bourbon, he was stuck out in no man's land. It's very difficult to win turf races when you're covering 4 or 5 rivals throughout the running of the race, not just through one turn alone, but through the entire running. And he was still in contention with the furlong to run. He's shown a lot of ability. He's versatile. He can rate. He can be up close to the action. And at 4-1, I just was looking for a nice horse. He's just a cool individual. He showed a lot of heart winning the Penn Mile. It was a very gutty effort on the 31st of May, and he got his nose down just in time. I think he's pretty legit. Like I said, the 2 races at Keeneland. And
you can see him. He's the 4 here coming home.
Yeah, he's got those burgundy silks. Yeah. The claret silks. Here he comes. Just getting down. Yeah. He's a nice racehorse. 4-1 seems pretty legit for a horse that pretty much gives a good account of himself each and every time.
Yeah. The 4-1, he's won 2 graded stakes, right? And we've got on the rail in here, we've got Greenlight, who was very impressive, winning his maiden last out. You got a few like this, few from DeVoe. So if
sure,
4-1, that's a very sweet price, and I think a good play. And I think he's my top pick in that race as well. American Derby, field of 8, Brilliant Birdie looked fantastic last time.
He did. He really did.
Yeah. yeah, Moonlight, we'll see if he can figure it out. He could be dangerous there for Pletcher. Agate Road as well. Pletcher's got a few entries in here. All of them could offer value, which could be an interesting way to play and get away from the favorites in this sequence. Let's take a look at the Florida Lee as we see the fillies and mares come at us. We get Scylla coming back against Kijira. They ran a pretty good 1-2 last out in the Shawnee. Here comes Free Like a Girl. She looked fantastic. Running in between Idiomatic and Pretty Mischievous. Good company for that Lobred trained by Chassis Palmier, who's got a little bit of a layoff, which you don't see very often for Free Like a Girl. Tax won a good race last out. A Colt, second start as a 4-year-old. But what about Shotgun Hottie? Here's a Cherie DeVoe horse that's just looked fantastic since she's gotten in the barn. Watching the last race, that win in the Pimlico Special, we could just see a mare who has put herself all in the right spots. Really no asking by Paco Lopez, who's in town to ride Shotgun Hottie, and just a really mature mare who's figured it out, and I think can just sort of put herself where she wants to be, beat these folks to the spots, and to take on Scylla. Though Scylla ran very well last time, but hopefully this gives us a little bit of value as a likely second choice, I think, in this field. Any thoughts about Hottie in here?
Well, obviously, she's coming off a real strong victory, an authoritative victory, probably the best race of her career. So she's hoping she can continue this forward move, getting better at the right time. A lot of question marks surrounding Kijira. I know she came into 2024 with a lot of hype. She had concluded her 23 campaign pretty strongly. I mean, I remember I didn't know a lot about Kijira. For some reason, last year she kind of escaped me in many of her races, and I was like, "Who's this Kijira everyone's talking about?" Well, I mean, Idiomatic and Pretty Mischievous. I thought they were pretty salty, but I remember everyone was talking a lot about Kijira. She didn't really live up to the hype, perhaps the Sealed Sloppy racetrack. A good second rebounding here. Scylla, I thought looked sensational winning. So, I like your selection because I think Scylla has a chance to assert herself into like maybe number 2 in discussion. I think Idiomatic is the clear cut divisional leader. I don't think anybody is going to take that away from her. I know she was recently defeated, but I still think she's the cream of the crop when it comes to the distaff mares. And Scylla has a chance to step up into number 2. So, Shotgun Hottie with a big win, all of a sudden she starts putting her name amongst that group as well.
Yeah, and I got a correction for myself. She won the Alaire DuPont at Pimlico last time, so that's where she took it and took him down. A couple of fourth place finishes before that, but I think we're moving forward in a good way. We'll see how the pace plays out in there, but I think that could be a nice way to get away from a favorite, especially if you're going to use First Mission, because you got to keep in mind, right, in terms of playing these multi-race sequences where you're going to pick up a little bit of value. Maybe Shotgun High is the one. All right, Tony, it's you and me tonight, taking the people through the card at Churchill Downs. The big carryover is there for the Derby City 6. But if you want some more thoughts on Saturday's big card, this weekend's big card, let's turn it to Twin Spires Jury. We're going to have Scully, Ashley Anderson, and Darren Zocali lead you through there. So that'll be live up here next. Thanks to Twin Spires. And as always, get your bets in early, sharpen them up, trust your luck.